runs deep, and drivers will do anything to win. Indy tests the nerve of even the best drivers. It's a place where heroes have been made, and young men have proven they belong. Because here at the Brickyard, nothing beats first place. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series comes to ESPN with the Brickyard 400 tomorrow at noon Eastern. Telecast presented by Golden Corral.
Manchester's home for the Red Sox, the Patriots, and the home team. Afternoons at 4. This is WGAM, The Game.
Welcome back to the New England Golf Radio Show. I am JJ Truman. Got Chris Arcan playing some beats this morning for us on a Sunday. What do we got here, Chris?
Eminem.
A little Eminem for us on a Sunday morning. We've got John Jelley from the New Hampshire Golf Association on the line. John, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, JJ. Hey, Chris. How are you guys?
Doing good.
We are doing well. We're just rolling through it, talking about Tiger's return, and our return for the second segment, and your return for the second time on the show. Thanks for coming on. I know you guys have been really busy. You had the New Hampshire Amateur, which I covered, the New Hampshire Open last week at Atkinson, which I was over there for one day. Wasn't able to be over there for both days. But the first day, things seemed to be going great. Great golf course over there at Atkinson. A lot of really good players, amateurs and professionals. Talk a little bit about the event. A lot of drama, I guess, coming down the stretch from what I heard. Nick McDonald in second place. George Zalatas from Peabody, Mass. shot a 66 and then a 66 in the final round to beat Nick by one stroke. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it was exciting. We're all obviously big fans of Nick McDonald from his win at the State Am last year, and he's won several other of our events. And so I can't say we were pulling for him. That probably wouldn't be right, but it would be. It was pretty exciting to contemplate that he might actually win the New Hampshire Open, and he played so well. But George, after a 77 in the morning round on Wednesday, he turned it around, shot 66, and won by one.
Yeah, and George, of course, a pro. We should point that out. He's a pro. Nick, an amateur, a guy who everybody knows around New Hampshire, as you said, somebody who's won before. So certainly good to see him in the mix, obviously. And then you got a pro coming up winning the New Hampshire Open. Good for Nick, though. Low amateur. Any other surprises throughout the week over there at the New Hampshire Open? Any guys pop up that you weren't expecting to in the top 10?
No, I guess not. It's always kind of a mixed bag for that championship. We get a lot of guys that we don't know, that a lot of professionals from all over the country, really. We had a number of guys from Florida, a guy from California, Ohio, a bunch from Texas, and so it's hard for me to keep track of all these guys throughout their years, but it was the week was just terrific. The folks at Atkinson take such good care of us, and we really enjoy going down there. And the location is great for us, and and we've tentatively agreed to come back there next year.
Oh, that's great, because it is an excellent golf course, as you mentioned. And part of the fun of going to watch it, if you're out there and you want to go watch one of these events, is you get to see a lot of different guys, like you said, from all over the place. Now, did you happen to catch up with Giuliani's son at all? Did you watch him play? Did you see him hit any shots? And if you did, how did he look?
Actually, he was in the last group on Tuesday, and I was out picking up tee markers, so I spent 2 or 3 holes with him in there at the end, and such a nice guy. He seemed very grounded, and just like any other pro out there, trying to grind out a score, and he managed to make the cut, and he just seems like a nice guy, and it was fun to watch him.
Yeah, well, that's excellent that he got him to come up, and he's lucky that Chris didn't show up, because Chris was going to go down there and provide some advice and heckle him a little bit. No, he wasn't really going to do that. Okay, so you got the Open taken care of. Nick McDonald comes in second. George Zalatas wins it from Peabody. Now you've got the New Hampshire Stroke Play event. Talk to me a little bit about the format of the Stroke Play event. It's at Green Meadow, right down the street from us here in Hudson. Talk to me a little bit about the format.
Yeah, this tournament began in 2000, and it's a little different format for us. They play 18 holes on Tuesday, again on Wednesday. We make a cut, and they 40 and ties play 36 holes on Thursday. So it's it's a fun tournament. It's kind of our answer to the match play situation we have at the State Am. We thought let's do a stroke play championship for the guys, and it's been very popular, and I think 5 of our last 10 winners have turned professional since then. So but guys like Jim Silly, Nick McDonald are there, and most of our top amateurs are going to be there.
Yeah, it's a great event because certainly match play, stroke play, two completely different things. Nice to have the opportunity to compete in two different events. And you mentioned the past champions, Pat Pelletier, the past champion, or the champion from last year turned professional, so he's obviously not playing. But Jim Silly's in the field, Nick McDonald's in the field. Those two guys we know about. We had them on the show, interviewed them, talked to them about their performance at the State Am. Joe Levitt, another guy, junior guy in the field. Any other sleepers in the field that we should know about? Maybe anybody that we don't really talk about much, but that is in the field that has a chance to win this thing?
Well, there's a lot of guys who could come up to win, and Josh Chamberlain, who was a runner-up at the State Am a few years back, he's capable of going low. James Pleat, who just qualified for the U.S. Amateur, is in the field. And there's probably a dozen guys that I could probably come up with that have a legitimate chance to win this championship.
Yeah, so a deep field, and certainly as we mentioned, stroke play a little bit different than the match play, so gets a lot of guys in the mix. Now the course is really it's a really good course for stroke play, I think. I've played it before. Certainly not a short course by any means, 6,700 yards, and there's two par fives on each side, so definitely some eagle opportunities out there for the guys, a chance for them to go low. There's number 3 on the front, number 9 on the front, and then number 13, and then finishes with a par 5, number 18th, which requires a nice drive and then a second shot, but certainly reachable for eagles, so that'll be interesting coming down the stretch. Talk about those par 5s, and do you plan to lengthen those, shorten those, make them really accessible? I know you set the courses up before the round, so talk to me a little bit about how you're going to set those up.
Well, I was over there Thursday, and the course is in great shape. It's as good as I've seen it, and I really think the course is kind of a hidden gem in terms of its layout. And we're pretty much playing at the max. I think I actually came up with just a couple yards under 6,900 total, and so it's a full test, and it does favor the longer hitters. I think it's a fairly open course, and they can really let out the driver on almost all of the 4s and 5s, and but you're right. There's a lot of par 5s there that are reachable, and there'll be some eagles.
Certainly some opportunities, and in stroke play, huge for you to card an eagle and have 4 opportunities at it throughout the 4 rounds. Definitely some low numbers possible there. It'll be a lot of fun to be over there and watch. I love watching those guys hit drivers that bomb it out there, and when they get aggressive with those drivers, certainly a lot of fun to watch. Nick McDonald, a great guy to watch, hit driver. Jim Silly as well. Those guys all great drivers of the golf ball, obviously, to be at that level. Certainly great drivers of the golf ball. Now, what do you think about the players' mindsets? We talked to those guys after the match play, and they sort of take a little bit different mindset. Nick mentioned, he dunked one in the water, and he has to just completely forget about it. It doesn't matter because it's match play. You play it hole by hole. In stroke play, the mindset has to be a little bit different. What about their mindsets do you think will change throughout the week? Will they be really aggressive? Will guys get a little more conservative than they do in match play? What do you think they'll do?
Well, you're right. It's in match play you have a bad hole, and it's just one hole. But in stroke play, it's total strokes, and you can't go to sleep and make a 7 or 8 and expect to compete. So I think in general the guys are more inclined to, especially if they drive in a little trouble, they're going to play safe and get back and play and not try the hero shot out there. And I think that's a smart play. It's like I said, you can bomb it around that course, but you still have to manage your golf ball and keep the thing in play. And I think the guys like Nick plays well in any format. He's just all around good golfer, no doubt about it. And but those guys that don't play silly shots out there are going to be around at the end, I think.
Yeah, and certainly, and I think you'll probably see throughout the week those guys will start to get more aggressive, maybe a little more conservative as the cut happens the first 2 rounds. They want to make sure they get in there, but they're still in contention. And then as the week progresses, definitely get those guys to be a little bit more aggressive. Now, I know I'm looking at the starting times here. There's a bunch of groupings out there. If you had a chance to look at the starting times, do you see any groups that really, really intrigue you, or have you not had a chance to look at those yet?
Well, I actually did the starting time.
Oh, so you know them well then.
Well, I guess I should. Once I put them up, I don't look at them a whole lot. But yeah, there's a couple groups. Some of the players I usually put together, I didn't this time around because they had requests for early or late or things like that.
Right,
that I try to accommodate. But there's one group, and I'm trying to recall which one it was. Well, there's a senior group I really like with Kenny Nielsen and Craig Stekowicz and Peter Malley. those guys are all really cagey veterans, and I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of them really come up and surprise a few people. But it's pretty wide open. It could go in any direction, but I got to think the big hitters will be around it when we come up to 18 on Thursday.
Yeah, you mentioned Stekowich's group, and I had a chance to follow him at the New Hampshire Open for a couple holes. Good group there, Austin Eaton III, Jim Sinley, and Stekowich. And that was like, I was locked into that group, follow those guys around. Really, really good player, drives it pretty well. Got himself into some trouble at the New Hampshire Open and had no problem getting out of trouble. Actually made a birdie from the trees on number 9 over there, so I was impressed to see him play. Another group that I was looking at, 7:20 a.m., Nick McDonald. Obviously, we know who that is from Hanover Country Club. Dylan Evans, another guy that not a lot of people know about, but played really well at the New Hampshire Amateur up there in Nashua. And Ryan Friel, another guy who can really bomb it out there. They're at 7:20. That's certainly a good group. And a whole bunch of other ones out there. What else do you think about the week moving forward here after this week? What else is coming up on the schedule for you guys?
Well, things kind of go in a different direction for us after this week. We have our father-son championship next Tuesday at Kingswood Country Club or Golf Club up in the Wolfboro, and which is a fun event. You know, we have fathers and sons of all ages, and it's just a fun event for us. And we have our junior tour is wrapping up with our invitational out at Brentwood toward the end of August, and we're really our next and last major is our Mid-Am Championship, which is at Manchester Country Club this year in September, and that's going to be a big event. That tournament was sold out back in March, so a lot of guys really looking forward to going back to Manchester Country Club and teeing it up.
So you're saying there's no way I can get into the Mid-Am Championship? I'm out? Can I get a sponsor's exemption or something like that, John? Can we work on something there?
I got about 30 guys on the waiting list that would not be happy with me if I did that.
Well, we'll talk about that off the air. I know you guys stay busy. John Jelley from the New Hampshire Golf Association, they do a great job with all the tournaments, all the stuff that I've been to, been top-notch, first-class events, definitely great golf courses to see. Thanks for coming on with us, John. Now, I got to put a little pressure on you. If you got to pick a winner, I don't know if you can do this, if this puts your job in jeopardy. If you got to pick a winner for next week, who are you going with?
Well, I guess I got to go with. I'm going to go a little different. Go with James Pleat. I think James is playing very well, and he's going to be getting ready for the U.S. Amateur, and so I know how much he practices. That kid lives on the driving range, and he's a heck of a nice young man, and wouldn't be surprised if he backs up his New Hampshire Junior Championship from a few years ago and wins another major for us.
And you mentioned James Pleat, somebody who played really well at the New Hampshire Am over at Nashua, his home course. And you're absolutely right about his work ethic. He would play in the morning, play in the afternoon, around 6 o'clock. Me, some other people, you would still be there, obviously kicking around. And there would be James Pleat on the putting green hitting putts. And I am just saying, man, does this kid ever go home? I mean, I know he lives right around the corner, but he is putting in a lot of hours and a lot of work on his game. So I like that pick. Certainly somebody who can contend. John, thanks again for coming on with us. I can't wait to see you up there next Tuesday. I'll be up there all week. And we can talk about that Mid-Am entry for me. And, and we'll see how that works out. John Jelley from the New Hampshire Golf Association. Thanks so much for coming on with us, John.
Thank you, fellas.
That was John Jelley, New Hampshire Golf Association. As I said, got the Stroke Play event coming up next week. Great organization, great guy. They do a great job with running these tournaments throughout the state. Certainly, if you're a fan of golf, you need to get out there and watch these guys play. If you want to see what the top amateurs look like in the state, you get a chance to do that. It's over at Green Meadow in Hudson, one of the Friel courses, and you can just follow these guys and watch them play. They're totally personable, a lot of fun to get over there and watch some really, really good golf. So if you're a golf fan, like I said,